So again, we have another school shooting. How do we deal with it? Hey guys, it's John here in my studio on another sad day for many people in this country. We've had another school shooting in Georgia. And there's a lot to be said about what's going on. The child who did this, and it's a child who did this, a 14-year-old child, should never be given, weapons made for war. And yet this child had access to an assault rifle at 14 years old. When I was 14 years old, I used to play with cap guns in the woods. And the thought of having a real gun was never even something that came into my mind, because in those days, it just wasn't something we had. I think that we've come to a point in our society where people have so removed from simply loving one another and so invested in their own personal experiences, they sometimes forget that, especially when you are a parent, you are the one creating the formative beliefs of your children. They learn what they are to believe from you. And oftentimes, if you give them neglect and you don't give them the attention of love and caring and understanding that you take care of each other, and you just let them be latchkey kids in front of their television watching all of their stuff and not really parenting or guiding them towards a loving world. And then the kid gets interested in, cool guns, and the father says, well, this is a cool way for me to, or mother possibly, have a way of connecting to my child by just giving him guns and getting him out there shooting guns, but then not have the responsibility of realizing he's a 14-year-old kid. He should be playing with cap guns or G.I. Joes or something different, The number one thing we have to do in our society is recognize, first of all, that this 14-year-old kid, he did something terrible. He did something horrific. But he really was probably doing it for attention, because he probably wasn't getting it. He probably wasn't getting the attention. Like my son, I tell him on a regular basis how much I love him, how much he's such a good man, growing up to be a good man. He's 20 years old now, and he's discovering that his major in college is not something he really wants to do. And what did I say to him? I said, Kynan, all I care about is you do something you love. Because if you're doing something you love, the money's going to come, you'll be fine. But, make sure you're doing something you love, and realize you can take anything you love and it can become a career. Anything you love can become a career. But children like this haven't had that kind of guidance. They're subject to either neglect, or they're subject to social media and all of the imagery that we're giving them, and we're not giving them the characteristics of just simply being loving first. And there's a lot of kids out there who are struggling, and I was a struggling kid. I struggle with my father and my relationship with my father, but my mom at some point had given me some pretty good morals, told me to respect women when I was a young man, and she told me some good things. And it comes back down to the only way we create a loving world is be a loving world, to live into a loving world, to create a loving world. And that starts with creating good, beautiful, amazing people. And that, children don't have beliefs. In the Bible, it says you must become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. That's because a child doesn't have beliefs. But when they're given beliefs through neglect or abuse or the glorification of violence, then what happens is we create children who believe those things and act upon those things. And it is really not um, a good outcome that we're offering them. What would I do with the people who've been hurt by this situation? First of all, I would do everything in my power to let them know I love them and that they are loved and that their loved one who has passed away is embraced in love and is still living on, is life eternal. For those people who are neglecting their children, I think as a society we need to start paying attention to all of our children. Many years ago, a politician said it takes a village to raise a child, and I completely agree. I think we see a child in the world who's bullying somebody else. We step in. We step in and we stop the bullying. We see someone who's being mean to someone else. We step in. We stop them being mean, right? We see a child who's getting, verbally abused. We step in, or if nothing else, we let the child know he's a good kid. We create that loving experience. We can't be responsible for everybody. All we can do is be the bright spot in the world for the world to change around us by example. But as a society, we need to start thinking about, what is this future? Are we creating a future of children who just are not loving, who are not caring, who are feeling left behind, who are feeling marginalized or forgotten, who are acting out so that they can be seen? And I think it comes down to us taking the moment to say, I see you. I love you. I respect you. I'll treat you well. I always go back to the story of Antoinette Tuff. She was working in an office at a high school, and a young man walked in with an AR-15. And she said, "What's the matter, honey? How can I help you?" And she ended up hugging the man. He says, "Nobody cares. Nobody cares." She says, "I care, honey. I love you, honey." And she's doing all this on the, we know this happened because she's on the phone with the police, and she's telling him this while she's talking to the police. "I love you, honey. I love you, honey. You don't worry. Nothing. I'm not going to let anybody hurt you. I'm not going to let anybody harm you. And we're going to get you the help you need, honey." And she sat there and she hugged him, and she told him she's good. And then she told the police on the phone. She says, "You can come in here, but you don't harm this young man. This young man I'm protecting this young man." And they came in. They disarmed him calmly and easily, and they took him for mental health help. That is the key. That child just needed someone to say, "I love you." That child just needed someone to hug them. That child just needed someone to show that they cared. We all want to be loved unconditionally. But if no one's showing somebody love in their life, they're going to lash out to get attention. And we have to be the ones to show love equally across measure and be the village that is raising the child. Be the world that is loving and caring. Be the world that is the expression of our outcome. And, get rid of the things that are harmful or hateful. If you're into guns, that's fine. You shouldn't in any way, shape, or form be opposed to having that regulated so that people who aren't capable mentally of getting a gun, then they should not have a gun. Young kids who should be playing with GI Joes and cap guns should not be handed an AR-15, and that should be in the law so that we don't do those things. We have these guideposts of keeping people safe and exciting and keeping people safe and keeping people feeling like they're secure in their environment. Right now, you've got kids who are taking active shooter trainings in schools. We shouldn't have a world like that. We should not have a world like that. What's the reasoning for having an assault rifle? You ask anybody why they have the assault rifle. Number one answer, home defense. And then you do the research. How many people actually use an AR-15 in home defense? Almost none. Almost none. So it's like, well, if none of you are using it, why do you need it? Well, in case I need it. You know, what are you manifesting at that point? Are you focusing on needing a gun to defend yourself, or are you focusing on creating a beautiful, loving world? When I look at this horrific event that happened in Georgia yesterday, I think this is all fear-based desire to be seen. And I think that the parents are equally as guilty as the young man. I think the parents are probably more guilty because they were the ones who were creating his formative beliefs, and they weren't taking the responsibility to make sure he was a safe 14-year-old who should be playing in the woods. And so when I look at this, I know many people who are gun rights people may even unsubscribe. I'm okay with that. You can unsubscribe. All I'm saying is I want to create a loving and safe world for me and my family and my children and your family and your children. That's all I'm saying. You may not agree with how I get there, but you tell me in any way, shape, or form how giving a 14-year-old a gun that can kill multiple people and then letting him just walk out of the house and go to school with it, by either not securing it or just saying he has access to it. You tell me how in any way, shape, or form that creates a more loving and more caring world, and I will, and prove it to me, and I'll be with you. I don't think you can prove that to me because it's not the way the world is designed to work. The Bhagavad Gita says, "Thought by thought we forge our destiny." Bible says, "As a man thinketh, so is he." Buddha says, "What you think you become, you create your world." Jesus ended his entire teachings in the Bible with, "I leave you one commandment, love one another." He didn't say, "I leave you one commandment, prepare for war against your neighbor." It doesn't say any of that. It says love one another. And when these people who are pushing up God, guns, and country, I think that's abhorrent because God is love and God doesn't need a gun to love. And I'm a little annoyed by this today because we should not live in this world where people are creating this. And so here's my challenge to all of you watching this. Go out in the world today. Show someone love who you don't know. Let the world see love fully and openly. Live a loving life without fear or of retribution or danger. Just go out and love someone today. Smile at them. Make them laugh. Give them something extra. Be the person who makes their day brighter. When you do that, we change the world. We change the world one person at a time. And you have the ability to go out and change that one person, who will then change that next person, who will then change that next person, and the world will change into a more beautiful, loving place. But it doesn't happen if we don't do it here and now in this only moment that we live, the only conscious moment that we have. Take this moment and make it completely active in love. And when you make it completely active in love, you can go out there, you can literally change this world and make the world a place we all want to live in and all can live in joyfully, lovingly, and happily. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day. Go out and love one another. And I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.